What's up, everybody? Welcome to the How to Lead podcast, a conversation designed to help you develop yourself and those around you. My name is Adam. Clay is not here today. I've got my good friend Darin Kinder with us. Darin, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks, Adam.
So Darin is here because he just published his first book called Bury Me in a Dirty Suit, which is just such a phenomenal title. You're getting lots of positive feedback on that title, right?
It's yes, and of course, I must admit, in humility, it's the one title I did not come up with myself. Yes,
That's right.
it was a title suggested to me, but everyone loves it, so I'll take it.
I'll take it. That's right. All you need is one person. Well, Clay would tell you the same thing with his book, How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. That was something that's what the great thing about publishers. They know what they're doing and they know how to come up with good titles. And so,
Yes.
but yeah, so listen, you're going to need to go buy this book because here's the deal. Darin was just retired from the Secret Service. He was on the ground. You were in New York on 9/11. So we're closing in on the 24th anniversary of that. You have an unbelievable story. I've heard it all. I've interviewed you on another podcast. If somebody wants to go digging around on the internet and find that, they can go find that episode on the Better Man podcast where you've told more of the play-by-play. But I want people to read the book to get the play-by-play. But just real quickly, give some of the highlights of where you were that day. And I love starting with where you were, like what was going on when the whole situation started to go down. So just give us a few highlights real quick just to get people to maybe go out there and check this book out to read it all.
Sure, highlights or lowlights, depending on how you view
Yeah, I
it,
guess,
right?
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I was a Secret Service agent at the time. Like you said, I retired a couple of months ago after 25 years and 4 months, and I was a young and dumb Secret Service agent at the time. I was only 27 years old, and we were our office was in 7 World Trade Center, part of the World Trade Center complex. So I was there in the office, just finished working out in the gym. I was in the locker room putting on a clean suit for a long day of meetings and so forth. And when we were told to evacuate, and that's when things got interesting. And you know, we did a bunch of things. We ran outside and gave standard first aid to people that were wounded and hurt. At one point, me and 2 other agents ended up in the North Tower, about the 30th floor,
Wow.
because I'm not a very smart person. But we were helping people evacuate, and I was there on the scene, Adam, as you know, 80 yards or so from the base of Tower 2 when it collapsed. Again, for reasons unknown to me, I returned to
Yeah,
the scene, and I was there when the second tower collapsed as well. So it's a wild story. It
it really is.
includes me and 3 other agents kind of becoming amateur firefighters and commandeering some fire equipment and doing our little part in that
Yeah.
terrible day to try to bring some peace and stability to our little intersection from where we were. And yeah, it was just a to say it was a long, hard day is an estimate is an understatement. Excuse me,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was wild.
It was, yeah. And again, it's a phenomenal story just to hear all the little things that happened. That really, it's a miracle that you and I are sitting here today, 24 years later, recording this, because there were lots of opportunities for that day to turn even more tragic, as it would have been tragic for you in that particular situation. The metaphor of the dirty suit, just talk about the end of your day, because you got separated from a lot of your coworkers, but then there was communication that went out that all of you agents that were on the ground, you all kind of rendezvoused at a particular spot.
Right.
Can you put the listeners in that room, because I think that metaphor is really powerful.
Sure. We had, like I said, what I like to say in the book, we'd been fighting the good fight all day, and we were
Hmm.
beaten and bloodied and just tattered. My pants were 3 inches shorter at the end of the day because they kept catching fire. The
Mm.
soles of my shoes were melted from all the heat. It was just absolute madness. And me and the 3 other agents I was with at the time, we made our way north about 30 blocks to rendezvous with all of our other colleagues. And we entered into this large space, this large room that we had kind of been offered to us. And there's a large group of agents over to my right, and they looked just like we did, right? They were just
Yeah.
beaten and haggard and bloodied. And we kind of shared some thumbs up and some acknowledgments. And then across on the other side of the room was, a group of colleagues that were wearing clean suits.
Yeah.
And it struck me, how is your suit clean, right? And not to disparage anyone, or I
Right.
use that. These people, for example, went on to serve their nation,
Yeah.
in a very significant way for over 20 years. I use it only as an illustration. The next day, September 12th, I'm sitting on my sofa in Hoboken, New Jersey, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, what's going on, and I could not get that dichotomy right out of my
Hmm.
mind. There was clean suits and there was dirty suits, and so I just made I'm a man of faith. I made a commitment to God that day that I was going to spend the rest of my days getting my suit dirty.
Mm.
And I didn't know what that looked like or what that would be. But I know that that I should have died at least twice on the
Mm.
11th, and I didn't. Therefore, I must be here for a reason, for a purpose.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, as I was talking and praying, that line just rolled off my tongue
Yep.
at the end. I said, when I punch out of this world and into the next, bury me in a dirty suit.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. And it is. It's such a great visual. And so that's where I want to pick up the story, because I think that's where you could be really helpful for our listeners. So, you go through something obviously once in a lifetime, very dramatic like that. If you can go back, like what would you say from a professional perspective changed immediately in those months? Yeah, let's just keep it there. The months, maybe the first 12 months afterwards. Do you remember
Right.
anything that like, here's the way I thought about my job before and the way I'm thinking about it afterwards?
Well, I'll give you the surface answer, and then I'll try to go a little deeper. The
Yeah.
surface answer off the top of my head is my operational tempo went through the roof. I mean,
Mm.
we're talking post 9/11. I feel like the first 3 years after 9/11, for example, what we did with 5 agents the week before, now we were doing with 10 or 15 agents. It just,
Mm.
because if you remember, there was just so much fear.
Yeah.
Everyone was feeding off of fear, and everything was taken to another level. So, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
So I feel like I didn't see my wife for 3 years, right?
Wow.
She went to
Yeah.
grad school during that time. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to school. You're never
Hmm.
around.
Yeah.
But what it did for me on a deeper level is it really solidified. Hard times do that sometimes, right?
Mm.
Sometimes the good things in life are forged in fire, and it really solidified my heart and my sense for mission. Um, for I It just became obvious that things had changed, or maybe things hadn't changed. Maybe we were just
Mhm.
oblivious to the threats that were there. But as an organization in the U.S. Secret Service, we got we got focused on the problem really quickly, and
Yeah.
we started to adapt, started to change our methodologies, started to compensate for some vulnerabilities that maybe we had seen. And it all just made it crystal clear. This is a mission, and this is
Mm.
for me in that job. I know this doesn't directly apply all the time. It was a zero fail mission. Like, you got to get it
Mm.
right every day. There's no
Yep.
room for error. There's zero
Yep.
fail. They drill that into your head.
Yeah.
Um, but it crystallized things, and it gives you wind in the sails. I think a greater sense of mission, especially when there's camaraderie involved, when you're shoulder to shoulder with men and women you trust, and that applies to any environment.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, sometimes the hard stuff in life forges that brings people together, and it forges a greater sense of mission.
Yeah. So did you have any immediate thought? So you get this image of bury me in a dirty suit. I want to always be in a dirty suit. Did you see staying in the Secret Service as a path to continue to do that?
That's an interesting question, because for about 5 years I really struggled and wrestled with
Yeah.
what is my purpose, what is my
Yeah.
meaning in life, because I knew I had been spared, and I just wanted to know why. I wanted really clear, and I didn't know that that's not something that hits you over the head. That's
Right.
something you just learn by being obedient in this long march in the right direction for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. It's more about obedience in the long haul than knowledge, and so I wrestled with it.
Hmm.
I wrestled with that, and I thought about. I seriously considered leaving, quitting the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Gosh, for several years. Number one, because I was questioning, do I belong here? Is this what I want? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And number two, can I keep up this pace and
Right.
successfully and be a devoted father and devoted husband, and hopefully a devoted father soon?
Yeah. I mean, you knew getting into this line of work that like you were going to have a job that was stressful. I mean, you knew that, right? Like going into Secret Service, you didn't go become and I'll disparage myself, an accountant like I did, right? It was going to be really busy during tax season. You knew you were putting your
That,
life on the
yeah,
line, right?
3 month quarter is brutal, right?
It's brutal, man. And sometimes the 10 key doesn't work, Darren, and like you get a paper cut every once in a while. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. No, that's part of the reason I was there.
Hmm.
I wanted that. I wanted to travel the world. In my career, I hit 40 different countries, and I
That's
wanted to do
amazing.
that. I wanted to be on the edge. I remember in training, and when I was first learning and training, I mean, we did this scenario where my group was attacked, and I responded in the way I was supposed to, and I just got lit up. I mean,
Hmm.
I got zippered by these simunition rounds that really hurt.
Hmm.
And after the scenario, they're like, great, Darin, you did exactly what you're supposed to do in that scenario. We had to get our guy out and you had to draw the fire. And the instructor goes, don't get me wrong, you're dead, but you did a great job.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll
I
never
can't.
forget.
I mean, I don't have a category for that, man. It's remarkable. It is
I'll never
remarkable.
forget the phone call I had with my wife that night. How was your day, honey? Well, I got lit up. I got
That was a
killed, but
raging
I did really
success. I
well.
died. Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, so it took maybe so you have this vision of like, hey, I want to be buried in a dirty suit. Then there's 5 years of just going, I don't know, is that going to be here? Because I mean, you can imagine. Listen, I'm not trying to draw parallels to our story. Yours was infinitely more dramatic than mine, but something similar in my 20s, having a malignant melanoma, a cancer, going through some surgeries, just at 24, hearing that obviously I'm still here, so I was cured of that. And I remember those first few years of feeling a sense of purpose, right? Like, oh, why was I
Absolutely.
saved, from this? And it's not just something you immediately get a vision of going, I'm going to go into ministry, or I'm going to join the Peace Corps, or I'm going to be a high school teacher. So it takes a little while. And that sounds like that was part of your story too. It was just taking a while. When did you see some dots getting connected of like, purpose is a really big deal for me, and I am on purpose right now, doing exactly what I need to do to serve my country through the Secret Service.
Right. I started to see part of my answer. I started to see that my purpose, my mission, my meaning wasn't always connected with my career,
Hmm,
with my profession. It was outside. And
that's
it's
good.
amazing when your wife gets pregnant for the first time, it's amazing how your perspective changes, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's really good.
we had a son, and now I'm like, wow, okay, I need to be not only a devoted father, devoted husband, but a sincere and involved father as well. And then we had another son, as you know, and then we
Hmm,
had another son, and then we had four sons,
yeah,
and not all at once, to be clear.
yeah, yeah.
And so that changed my perspective on things. And so I saw these young boys that I'm going to grow into men, and I started to realize that, oh yeah, I can do this. I can do this well, because my wife is amazing. Number one,
Yeah.
and number two, they also get a front row seat
Hmm.
to service. They also get a front row seat to seeing someone on mission. Uh, I know I missed some ball games. I know I missed some birthdays, and did Christmas morning, via FaceTime on occasion, which was awful.
Yeah.
But the underlying lesson there is, okay, my dad is serving something greater than himself.
Yeah.
So I saw that mission. It really does. And now that I've retired, and you start to reflect back, that mission, it really is. It's a family endeavor. It's not
That
just,
really is good.
and I think that applies to any
Yeah.
profession.
Yeah. I love that you're saying that. I feel like that's something that over the last, like, this is pretty recent, like over the last 3 or 4 months, some of my perspective on it is changing around where to find purpose. And I think for some reason, just in my story, it's been like, oh no, you always got to connect profession to purpose. And I'm starting to realize, no, sometimes people have a profession that fuels their purpose outside of work. And it doesn't mean they're wasting their life from 9 to 5. They're still living very strategically. They just think about it different, but they've got something that is driving them in purpose. And it just happens to be outside of work. And, sometimes they overlap, but it doesn't mean it has to. And so it sounds like that was some of the perspective that you were starting to go through. Is that right?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
100% agree. And that's one of the things I bring up when I speak in front of corporate audiences, for example, is, some of you in the room, your passion, your purpose is your work. And for some of you, your work funds or fuels your purpose and your passion. And
That's right.
neither one is right or wrong.
That's
It
good.
doesn't have to be an either or, it's an and both.
Yeah.
And and in doing that, whatever side you fall, it really does at the end of the day though it boils down to an issue of people.
Yeah.
You're working with people, and you're investing in people, and you're building up people and relationships, and you're investing in them, and you're getting such fulfillment out of that for your own mission or for their mission. It's very when it's healthy, it's cyclical in a really good way.
That's good. I like that. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about leadership. Obviously, this is the How to Lead podcast. We have a lot of leaders that listen here. Now, I'm going to ask you one question that's going to sound very simple, but let's just popcorn out a few answers. A few things that day, 9/11, and let's even go maybe the couple of months after. A few leadership lessons that you learned. And again, that's a very, I'm not, I don't want to hang out there. I've got another question I want to ask you related to that, but just popcorn out. What are a few leadership lessons you learned from being on the ground that day?
From being on the ground that day, I am much better when I'm in a team environment.
That's good.
Whether
Yeah.
I'm running point or whether I'm the subordinate, just you figure out really fast that you don't have all other people bring talent, skills, and abilities that you don't have, and knowledge. And
Yep.
if you know my story, the whole firefighting part of it is, I didn't know anything about how to hook up a hose to a fire truck, but you know what? One of the guys with me did,
Yeah.
and I could hold the hose and point it at the fire, and so that part of that is so building good teams. I did that later on in my career.
I like that.
When I was ever in a leadership position, it was all about serving down and serving the team so that the job, the mission gets done. In the Secret Service, there's so many overlapping layers of responsibilities. One man, one woman cannot do it all, and when you try to do it, you burn out and you're toast,
Yeah.
and you don't do the job well.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, and then for me, the secret sauce to leadership is courage, and the secret sauce to courage is humility. Those two things are linked, and so those are things I've learned.
I love it.
Learned that day and learned throughout.
Great words, right? So teamwork, I'm better when I'm with a team, which is definitely a part of your story. I remember a lot of your day was trying to find your team, was driving you as you were moving around that day, which is just a remarkable part of the story. And then courage and humility. And so, again, you and I have talked about this. We've done lunch and we've talked about some of your, when you go speak, some of the messages that you try to share when you go into corporate environments or faith-based environments. And, do you think somebody has to go through 9/11 to learn those lessons?
Thank goodness, no. Right.
Yeah.
And that's when I speak in front of groups, whatever the setting, I try to preface it with that, which is like, look,
Yeah.
do not feel these lessons and these applications I'm going to share with you. You don't have to go through what I've gone through to do that.
That's right.
I just have your attention because I have a really cool, fascinating story.
Yeah.
And in that story,
good.
though, I'm going to give you these applications that you can apply in the workplace and in your personal life and so forth. And but let's not, so this is not a hero story. I tell them all the time, look, if you walk out of here and the only thing you're thinking of is, wow, that was a cool story, well, then I didn't do my job very well.
That's good, dude.
I want you to connect with the points that were, and one of that, part of that is, I beg people, I plead with people not to flee from the hard stuff stuff of life, right?
Yeah.
That's where things that's where the good stuff is forged. It rises to the top, and you clean off the junk. I forget what that process is called all of a sudden, but it's so not to avoid it, to embrace it and say, okay, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
How do we not here? How do we find ourselves not here again? Number one, but what are we going to do with it? How are we going to learn from it and do that together?
Yeah, and I love that. And I love that part. I think that embodies the humility for you, that you go in and can say that and can recognize these lessons are everywhere. And the lesson is when you lean into a hard situation, that's where we get forged. That's where so much growth happens. And yeah, listen, we're not going to be junior firefighters in the middle of a national tragedy. But we're still going to have some really hard conversations sometimes. We still gotta make difficult decisions, that are going to impact people's lives. And when we don't run from those, there's a lot that we can learn that can grow us as we go through those.
Absolutely, 100%. And if we run from it, if we turn away from it, guess what? It's not going away,
Yeah.
whether that's in the workplace or in the home. And part of that, I mean, it sounds silly to compare some courageous thing of carrying someone down the stairwell of the North Tower, but it takes just as much courage in a way to have a really hard conversation with
It
someone.
really does.
It
Yes.
takes courage
It can be
to
just
to
as scary sometimes, I would
it,
imagine.
it takes courage to be honest, to
Yeah,
say,
that's
look,
good.
this is not working out. We need to zig instead of zag. And
Yeah.
yeah, those are things that just so often get overlooked, but they make you an effective leader when you embrace them.
Yeah. Now, Darren, again, a little bit that I know about you, and so let's laugh at one of the bad titles you had for the book just for a moment. But it embodies what I know you're about, right? And so one of the titles you wanted to have was what? Just go ahead and share that.
Um, I'm drawing a
It was
blank.
something with valiant purpose,
It
right?
was
Like, because
valiant. It
that
was that. I mean, it was named. It's been named. Adam, I wrote this book for 10 or 15 years in my head,
that's
and it's
right.
been named Valiant Purpose the entire time, of course.
That's right. And then somebody said, no, it's Barry made a dirty suit,
Yeah,
and that's better.
a
It's a better title.
professional, part of humility is being comfortable and
There
knowing
you
what you
go.
don't know,
That's
and
right.
seeking the counsel of people who
There it
know what
is,
they're
working with
talking
that
about.
team, working with that
And
team.
she essentially said to me, with not these words, "That's a boring title. It's not going to grab anyone's attention." Uh, I'm like, "What do you mean? This is outrageous." And she said, "How about this? Because it's written twice in the book.
Yeah.
Bury me in a dirty suit." And I would love to say again that it grabbed me right away, but it didn't. And ended up, I had to take a poll, an informal poll of friends, and you were on that poll.
I
And
was.
Dirty Suit was
Oh, it
overwhelmingly the
was
winner.
awesome. Okay, but my point in bringing that up is I know the heart, like what you really care about is people finding purpose in life, right? So we alluded to that earlier. And like what do you see happen in your experience from any realm of life you want to go through? Because I'm sure you've got professional examples and personal examples. But like if a leader, somebody with a title, they are responsible for a team, they have the privilege of serving others through whatever leadership capacity. If they don't have a sense of purpose, like what do you like? What's the downside there? What are some of the things that you observe that happens from a negative perspective?
I see a leader with their head down, worried about their next
Mm,
footfall. I see a
mm,
leader who's just worried about making it through the next day or making it to the next quarter and hitting that mark as opposed to having a bigger vision.
mm.
I picture an organization, a group in an office, and they're following their leader across the minefield, right? And this guy is head down. He's nervous about his next. Is that somebody you want to follow across that
Yeah.
minefield?
No.
As opposed to my course is charted, my purpose is set. I'm gonna go across this minefield because my eyes are up and on the vision, the purpose that we're driving towards. And I'm gonna now that person is walking confidently, walking boldly forward.
Mm.
People want to follow that man or woman. So that's for me. It's living with purpose. Not only do you live with mission, meaning, conviction, and all that, you live with a lot less fear. You're driven by
Yeah.
something greater than fear. Yeah.
So 5 years goes by, you get this vision of the dirty suit, like this idea of purpose is starting to take root in your heart. That can feel pretty daunting sometimes. Like, hey, you need to write a mission statement or come up with your purpose. That's like, good night. What I don't, in some ways I am just trying to make it to Friday, And so what did that look like? Because that wasn't just something like overnight, or you had a great cup of coffee and suddenly had an epiphany, right? Like, or you were eating your Campbell's soup, the alphabet soup, and all the letters came together, or something like that. What did that look like practically before you started to get a clear vision of what purpose was for you?
It started after 5 years of wandering, honestly,
Hmm.
frustrated wandering, honestly.
Yeah.
It started with, for me, I call it doing the next thing. It's a really
Hmm.
fancy decision making rubric, okay, which is which is do the next thing in front of you, knock down the next problem in front of you, right? Just keep going.
Right.
That long, steady march in the right direction,
Hmm.
and keep doing the next thing in front of you, and things start to unfold. And for me, that on the family front, I started having my wife and I started having children, and I was like, oh wow, that's my mission, that's my purpose,
Yeah.
and it's never
Yeah.
just one thing, right?
That's good.
I kept marching forward, progressing in my career, going to different phases and stages, and doing different jobs, and got to the end of my career. Honestly, and you're familiar with this, I had about 5 years left before I could retire, and I was stale. I
Hmm.
was bored. I could have done that the last 5 years standing on my head in the corner. It would have been so easy what I was
Right.
assigned to do, and I chose something hard. I got into polygraph examination, and I just took on a new skill, and it was really challenging and really hard. And it's a job where you can't mail it in. That rent is due every day.
Yeah.
And man, it was renewed purpose. It was renewed
Yeah.
mission, and everyone in my sphere of influence, the people I'm working with, and the people I live with at home, they all benefited from it because I was a man driven by purpose.
Yeah. I like that. And so a couple things that are very encouraging there, that purpose, it's kind of like, what is the purpose now? It's not forever, because maybe early on when the kids were little, it was like, all right, my purpose is really just to be here right now. And I want to, I want to try to be home or help these kids get out of diapers or whatever it is, it can be like a season. And then different. So it sounded like there was a mix of some personal purpose that you were feeling, some professional purpose that was maybe around some new skills that you were learning. All of those things were bringing to you a sense of purpose. Am I hearing that right?
Absolutely. I don't think it's one thing at a time. I think it's multifaceted at all
Mm.
times. I do. I'd be derelict if I didn't say I think the family and the home comes first.
Yeah.
So I would tell young agents, for example, the last 5 or 6 years, I had the opportunity to mentor a lot of young agents,
Yeah.
and one thing I would tell them early on: do not sacrifice your family on the altar of the U.S. Secret Service.
Mm.
Like if your wife comes to you, or your husband comes to you and says, "I can't do this anymore," there's other jobs.
That's
You
right.
can fulfill
That's
your
good.
mission. You can have a fulfilling sense about you at another place that doesn't require you to you
Hmm.
have 24 hours notice and you're gone for 8 days.
Yeah.
So I would say they're intermingled, and it doesn't have to be one way or the other. But
Yeah.
I would say the home comes first.
That's good. That's good. All right. What would you say to a young leader that's listening right now, feeling like, hey, I'm listening, or I have to follow that leader who has no purpose, no direction. They're just head down. What would you say to a young leader like that?
Take notes.
You had such a great smile on your face when you said that. I love that. Say more. What do you mean by take notes?
One day you're going to be in his or her position, and that's the goal, right? Is to lead differently.
Uh,
I'm thinking of two awful leaders I had during my time in the Secret Service right now, and they will remain nameless, of course. But
yes.
I remember thinking, oh, this is not how I'm going to do it. Right? I'm gonna number one, I'm gonna do the job well. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do the job with integrity,
That's good.
regardless of what I feel about this person
So good.
that's over me. That is paramount because that is what will help you rise up to the top. But when I get there, when I'm in a leadership position, it's going to be different and it's going to be noticeable. And I remember the first time I was I was moved into a leadership position on a protective detail, and I did some things on day one that were just different. And I think I know this sounds like a brag talking about
No,
humility,
yeah.
but I think they were born from humility and doing exactly what this other person wasn't doing, and it was noticed. And I had no problem. I had no problem people doing the job well for me, working hard for me, and following me.
That's so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's not let our bosses or our leaders' lack of purpose impact our purpose, right? They're two totally different spheres of influence. You can still live on purpose. That's what I'm hearing you say. And take notes. Obviously, I heard you say that. That's really good with all this. Darin, last couple questions. Like what part of this, because you've published a book, you're speaking, you're doing all kinds of different interviews and podcasts and radio and television interviews and all this kind of stuff. Like, what has been surprising that people, like, what part of your story are people resonating with that you're maybe surprised by? Has anything come to mind?
That's a really good question. People want to know how this impacted my marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone seems to ask me about that, and they want to hear from my wife. My
Hmm.
one of my editors, even while we were editing the book, she said, "Hey, talk to your wife. Ask her, would she consider writing a chapter or writing part of a chapter from her perspective?"
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
just laughed. I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'll do that," but she's not going to do it because I knew she wouldn't. And my wife got a good laugh out of it when I shared that with her. But they just
Oh,
want to
so
they
funny.
want to know the human side of it,
Yeah.
and I think I tapped into that really well in the book. It's not just a sequence of events along a known timeline, right?
Yeah.
I try to get into the humanity of it, but they always want to see, okay, what did the home front look like? And
Yeah.
so the three different chapters that touch on what Heather was going through during that time, I mean, uh, people, yeah, they find it very powerful and very emotive for them. Yeah.
That's really cool. It makes a bunch of sense, right? To be able to see that from her perspective. What, I know, you still have one young one at home. It's seventh grader. Is that your youngest or fifth grade,
Yep.
sixth grade?
Yep. Seventh
And
grade,
seventh grade, and then my youngest and your, I guess, second
third.
youngest,
Yeah,
third,
third.
are the
Yep.
same age. But anyway, so I've met your boys. I know you've got one at the Air Force Academy right now. Um, there's the old like a prophet is without honor in their hometown. And so, how do your boys react to this when 9/11 happens? They hear that their dad, they hear you talk about it. What do they do now?
Over the years when they were younger, I would take them with me when I spoke because I wanted them to hear the
Ah,
history. I
yeah,
wanted them, and I would
that's
always take
good.
one of them with me, and we had some good times. And then you take them out for a milkshake or something
Ice cream.
afterwards.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so they know that they're well versed in that. They didn't realize the impact that this would have. I think
Hmm.
for years I would say, "Oh yeah, that's a funny line. I'm going to put that in my book," and it was the family joke, Adam. It was like
Hmm.
everyone's like, "Yeah, right, Dad, the book that you're never going to write." Well, they didn't know I was being serious.
Yeah.
And so it's been wild. A few of the personal stories I share, they're like, "Man, did you really have to put that in there?" But they my son. So when it was first released, my son ordered his copy off of Amazon, the one at college,
Yeah.
and he sent a selfie of him holding up the book, all excited. Great thing, what a nice thing to do, right? He sent that to the family text, group chat.
Right.
To which my high school senior replied to everyone, "Great, tell me what it says."
Yes.
Meaning, Dad, I
Yes.
have no intention of reading your
I'm
book.
not going to read it. Not going to read it. I'll tell you what. That's funny. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Well,
talk about humility. We're all
yeah.
getting humbled.
Yeah. Well, see, and I know you just recorded the audio. Maybe he'll listen to the audio. Nobody that's the joke I make with the edge is that nobody read it except for my son Josh. Has listened to it probably 16 times to fall asleep at night on his through his Alexa. He listens to it over and over again when he can't sleep. But hey, he's reading it, so maybe your son will just read it that way.
It's all sinking in. Don't worry.
That's so good. Well, listen, man, there's so much more. Listen, people need to go read the book. They need to hear the story, all the different leadership lessons. And I love what you're saying. It's not, I mean, it's a survival story. That's interesting, but there's a lot more in there. You're right. And you didn't just record it to go, wow, look at me, look what I survived. You have a message that's worth sharing. You're stewarding that message. Candidly, you've been sitting on this message for a long time. It took 24 years to write this book.
I have. I really, I said I've been writing it in my head for 10 years, but
Yeah.
I really felt like it wasn't my calling at the time. There was a mission. I was still with the Secret Service. There was only so much I could do and not do. And I really felt compelled to finish that mission. And at some point last year, I said, you know what, I'm going to finish one more presidential campaign, 2024. Once that thing was done, I was like, okay, it's
Yeah.
time to hit eject and not run from one thing, but run towards another. And that's what
That's
I'm doing.
right. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Yeah, and you ended on a really calm election. So that was a good one to go out on, and there was just nothing going on there, and so it was all fine. No, I love
Walk in
that.
the
Yeah,
park.
not running from, running to. And so, yeah, to that point, listen, I've heard you speak. I know a lot of our listeners, you got to, every once in a while you want to bring people in for a team day, bring somebody in to do a message. Darin's message is phenomenal for all audiences, men and women. He pulls practical applications out for everybody. It's an incredible story. And so we'll put a link here in the show notes where people can find you. But the website, real quick, for those driving around is where you want them going, darinkinder.com.
That's right, darinkinder.com. I spell Darin the proper way, so it's with one R and an I.
Darin, Kinder,
That's right.
KINDER.com.
That's right.
That's where they can find you. So listen,
And
thanks for coming
you can
on.
find the book on you can find the book on Amazon or anywhere you buy it online.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just don't ask his high school son for it because he doesn't have
Right.
it. So he won't know where to buy it. All right, Darin, appreciate you, friend. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Adam. Loved it.
Well, that's all we got for today's episode of the How to Lead podcast. You can always reach out to us via email. We can be reached at info@howtolead.work. That's info@howtolead.work. Every episode is mixed and edited by the team over at Sound of a Rose. You can learn more about them at soundofarose.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.